Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about that voice inside your head. You know the one that can be pretty harsh, super judgmental, and just relentless. We're going to break down where it comes from, and more importantly, how you can start to build a kinder, more compassionate relationship with yourself. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll officially meet your inner critic and really get to know its negative impact. Then, we're going to switch gears to a totally new perspective. After that, I'll walk you through some practical tools you can start using right away. And finally, we'll rethink what it actually means to make peace with that inner voice.
All right, first up, let's get properly acquainted with that voice we all know so well. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it shouts, but yeah, it's almost always there, isn't it?
Sound familiar?
Yeah, these are basically the greatest hits of the inner critic. And if you've heard them before, you are in very, very good company. This is a nearly universal human experience, kind of like a constant companion we never asked for.
Now, this is maybe the most important thing to get straight right away. Having this critical voice is not a personal failing. It's not something wrong with you. It's actually a feature of our incredibly complex and, yeah, sometimes tricky brains. The same part that helps us plan for the future can also get stuck on negative stuff, basically creating a threat response when there's no real danger.
So where does this pattern of negative self-talk even come from? Well, it often doesn't start with us. It can be like an echo of things that happened a long time ago, or critical voices we picked up when we were kids. And over time, it just becomes this ingrained habit that can really chip away at our self-esteem, our happiness, and our overall well-being.
Okay, so let's dig into how this critic gets so much power. See, these thoughts don't just hang out in your head. They actually trigger this powerful and often pretty destructive feedback loop that can be really, really hard to break. This slide shows the cycle perfectly. It all starts with a negative thought, right? Like, I'm totally gonna fail this. That thought makes you feel anxious, which might make you put off preparing. And then if the presentation isn't perfect, your brain goes, see, I told you so. And it just proves the original thought was right, kicking the whole cycle off again. Our inner critic has a playbook, a set of go-to moves, which are often called cognitive distortions. For instance, catastrophizing is when you miss one deadline and your brain immediately jumps to, I'm definitely getting fired. Or black and white thinking, where one mistake means the whole thing was a total failure. Just being able to name these patterns, to step back and say, oh, hey, that's just my brain catastrophizing again, is the first step to taking away their power. All right, now for a simple but honestly a pretty profound thought experiment. For a lot of people, this one question is the real turning point when they start to practice self-compassion. I want you to really picture it. Your friend is having a rough day. Maybe they messed up at work, or they're just feeling down on themselves. What do you do? What do you say? What's your tone of voice like? And this is where it gets really interesting, because the contrast is almost always just stark. For our friends, we offer kindness, support, a warm and caring tone. But when we talk to ourselves in the exact same situation, we bring out the judgment, the criticism, a cold, attacking tone. It really makes you wonder, right? Why do we treat ourselves so differently and so much more harshly than we treat the people we care about? So here's the good news. Self-criticism is a habit, and you can absolutely change a habit. And it's so worth it. A lot of us think we need that harsh critic to stay motivated, but research shows again and again that self-compassion is what actually fuels resilience and helps us get back up after a setback. So let's look at 3 powerful tools to help you build that kinder inner voice. The very first tool starts with this fundamental idea from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. We tend to treat our thoughts, especially the negative ones, like they're solid gold facts. But they're not. They're just mental events, a jumble of words and images passing through our mind. Just realizing that is a total game changer. This technique is called cognitive restructuring, and it basically lets you become a detective. You put your hot thought, that really sticky one like, I'm a failure, on trial. You have to gather actual factual evidence for and against it, just like in a courtroom. Your feelings don't count as evidence. What are the hard facts? And what you'll often find is that the evidence against the thought is way stronger, which helps you reach a much more balanced and truthful verdict. Okay, so this next tool is for when you're right in the middle of it. You're feeling stressed, hurt, or just totally overwhelmed. It's a super simple 3-step practice you can do anywhere to bring some immediate comfort. Let's just walk through these 3 steps. First, mindfulness. You just acknowledge the pain without judging it. This hurts. Simple. Second, common humanity.
You remind yourself that everyone struggles. You are not alone in feeling this way. And third, self-kindness. You offer yourself some compassion. The simple act of putting a hand over your heart can actually release calming hormones. It's a really powerful way to soothe yourself right in the moment. Our final tool comes from something called acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, and it's a little different. See, instead of trying to change your thoughts, ACT is all about changing your relationship with your thoughts. The goal is to diffuse from them, to kind of unhook yourself so they don't have so much power over you. And this slide shows you exactly how it's done. Instead of letting your brain say, I'm not good enough, you reframe it. You say, I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. Can you feel that tiny shift? That little change creates distance. It separates you, the observer, from the thought itself. You're not tangled up in it anymore. You're just noticing it pass by.
So, after learning all these tools, what's the ultimate goal here? It's not about waging some kind of inner war or trying to completely destroy your inner critic. The real goal is a little different and, honestly, a lot more achievable.
And here it is, the ultimate takeaway. It's just not realistic to expect that critical voice to completely disappear. The real work is in cultivating another voice, a compassionate, supportive inner friend. Over time, you can learn to turn up the volume on that kind voice and turn down the volume on the critic. You get to choose which one you listen to.
This quote from psychologist Dr. Deborah Lee just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You are going to be with yourself for your entire life. This is not a temporary roommate situation. So you get to choose what kind of inner companion you want along for the ride. Is it going to be the harsh critic or the supportive friend? And we'll leave you with this final thought to take with you. Building self-compassion is a daily practice. It's made up of a bunch of small moments. It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic change. It can start right now, with just one single kind thought. What will yours be?